All eyes on press freedom and the people's freedom on Capitol Hill today. The right to abortion is the hammer the left wants to use to win in 2024. Getting insight on how to protect life with this in mind and get free from your taxes and handicap big government while you're at it. This is Get Free with Kristi, Leigh. 3, 2. We were endowed by our Lord Jesus Christ. Get free from propaganda. Get free from censorship. Get free with Kristi, Leigh. True journalists Catherine Herridge and Sharyl Attkisson were in focus at the House Judiciary Committee hearing on fighting for a free press, protecting journalists and their sources earlier today. Interesting, the regime media didn't give this more coverage. Here's a portion of what Herridge had to say in her first on-camera comments since being laid off by CBS News and having her records seized. Watch this.
One of our children recently asked me if I would go to jail, if we would lose our house, and if we would lose our family savings to protect my reporting sources. I wanted to answer that in this United States, where we say we value democracy and the role of a vibrant and free press, that it was impossible, but I could not offer that assurance. The Bipartisan Press Act, which came out of this House committee, would put an end to the sort of legal jeopardy that I have experienced firsthand in the federal courts. And without the legislation, more journalists will run the uncertainty of the contempt gauntlet in the future. This legislation will provide protections for every working journalist in the United States, now and for the next generation. Because without reliable assurances of confidentiality, sources will not come forward. The First Amendment provides protections for the press because an informed electorate is at the foundation of our democracy. If confidential forces are not protected, I fear investigative journalism is dead. Each day, I feel the weight of that responsibility.
Unfortunately, I thought it was only going to be a matter of time before they came after Catherine Herridge because she was one of the few that was still working within the system, the propaganda machine, if you will, that was being fair in her reporting. What's so disgusting about all this is that there's not more journalists that are speaking up about this, that are taking her defense, that are shining a light on the desecration of journalism. You know, I was lonely when I was speaking out against the fact that doctors were being silenced during the pandemic. I'm like, why aren't all my colleagues joining in on this? This is fundamental. Hearing from another side and being a voice for the voiceless. It's an actual tenet of journalism. So here's another case where I have to be frustrated that there's not more journalists that are speaking up about this. It's just sick what's happening. You know, Herridge was also reportedly working on the Hunter Biden laptop story. You know, can't have that. Everyone's all in on the Biden family and protection of them. She's facing $800 fines a day for contempt in an unrelated case, but it's just disgusting. I mean, to have all of her things seized, this precedent cannot stand. And again, they thought Trump was tough on media. Okay, this is scary. And here is a portion of what Sharyl Attkisson had to say at the hearing. Watch this.
Well, I felt a great deal of pressure channeled through my employers. You know, I was told that certain stories weren't going to air because we were getting phone calls, and even though there was nothing wrong with the stories, let's just let it rest for a day. Let's pick it up another time. They're really mad this time. And there was no objection over the content of the story or the facts. It was they just, as I was told, they just didn't like it, or it was a story that they felt was unfavorable at times.
I have pretty much every book by Sharyl Attkisson. She talks about this in great detail in her books, The Smear and others that she's written, and details just what she's been up against and just trying to be truthful in reporting the news. The great injustice against freedom of the press has been most alarming with the treatment of Julian Assange, but I'll have more on that later, so stay tuned for that, as well as the status of the GOP and Dems potentially coming together to ratify spying on Americans. But first, some breaking news from our first guest. The California AG is targeting pro-life clinics, akin to Trump-style Lawfare. My first guest today breaking that down for us, Susan Swift, is a California attorney and president and co-founder of Pro-Life Legal, a nonprofit law firm serving pro-life clinics and centers pro bono on corporate compliance and HR matters. Welcome in, Susan Swift.
Thanks so much for having me, Kristi. It's really nice to be with you again.
It's crazy how what you're going to reveal with for us today is happening in conjunction with them weaponizing this abortion issue and making it like their core thing to try and win 2024 election. They're just all in on murdering of babies, basically. And it's astounding to me, the lawfare that we've seen on so many angles. But what you have to break down for us is they're actually coming after pro-life centers there in California.
Absolutely. What has happened recently, right immediately after Easter, starting as early as April 3rd, perhaps a little earlier, what's happened is that the Attorney General's office, Rob Bonta in California, has begun to serve interrogatories. They're kind of a form of subpoena, if you will. They're investigative interrogatories, and they are personally serving executive directors of pro-life clinics and centers in California. This is because I believe, this is my opinion, I think Rob Bonta wants to be able to say that California is cracking down on fake clinics. Now, fake clinics is a smear that pro-abortion forces in California have used. It's a narrative that they say that suggests that there are these fly-by-night unlicensed entities that are somehow persuading women, frightening women, convincing women not to get abortions. The fact of the matter is these pro-life clinics, they are medically licensed clinics with the state. They have to file annual license renewals every year and pay money to the state to be in operation. They have to comply with the law, and they are already licensed medical clinics. The difference between a medically licensed pro-life clinic and Planned Parenthood is that the medically licensed clinics do not want to provide abortion. They don't provide abortion, but Planned Parenthood does. So Planned Parenthood and other abortion providers in California have been pressuring the legislature, demanding that they shut down these quote unquote fake clinics. Again, it's a smear because they are licensed clinics. If it's not a licensed clinic, it's called like a resource center. Those places don't provide ultrasounds at all. They provide free materials to the women, like diapers and baby wipes and things that are not covered by welfare, by WIC. So they're entities that are charitable organizations that are simply ministering to women, trying to say, look, we'll come alongside you. We'll help you. You don't have to choose abortion. Choose life for your baby, and we will support you. We'll connect you to a network of perhaps churches or other support networks, and we will provide you with material items that will help you, baby car seats, things like that. So these are the two entities that the state is now targeting with this lawfare. They're serving interrogatories based on a new law that was passed it's effective January 1st, 2024, that defines who may conduct ultrasounds: medical doctors, nurses, midwives, and the type of facilities where ultrasounds can be done, which that's fine. No problem there. But now what Bonta is doing through these special interrogatories, these investigative interrogatories, what he's doing is he's sending these 5 or 6 questions to, I believe he's going to do every pro-life clinic and pro-life resource center to confirm, well, are you or are you not performing ultrasounds? And if so, who are the doctors? Who are the nurses? Who are the midwives, the technicians who are conducting these ultrasounds? Do you see what that is? That's a way for the state to compile a list of doctors and nurses who are pro-life. Now, bear in mind, these doctors...
Yeah, Susan, this is what's confusing. Susan, this is what's confusing because in order for them to be in compliance and everything, don't they already have this information? So, like, why is he, like, asking for it again? Is it to just strictly, like you said, separate? Okay.
Because the every one of these clinics, and if you're doing business in California, you have to every year, you've got to renew your license, you got to renew your documents. That is part of it. So the state already has this information, but you see, Attorney General's office, they want to get it again. And I believe, again, I'm guessing, this is my opinion, but as a lawyer, I'm looking at it and saying, oh, so what you want to do is you want to force these pro-life clinics to answer these questions, perhaps without even a lawyer, present, because you just send it to them and you expect them to answer it without advice of counsel. And then I believe they're going to compare. They're going to take the names, the data that they get, and they can maybe look back in the state records and say, let me see, did you answer completely and fully? Is this consistent? Oh, maybe you didn't. Under California Penal Section 131, which is the section that the Attorney General is using to propound these interrogatories, you can be fined up to $25,000 and you can be thrown in jail for up to a year. It's a misdemeanor because you are lying. You will be deemed to have lied to the state by responding on these interrogatories. But if you don't have full and complete records, he might want to go after and persecute the people who are answering these interrogatories so that he can fine them or throw them in jail. And he will also have, it's a very easy way, I believe, to get a complete list of pro-life doctors who are reviewing the ultrasounds, nurses who are conducting the ultrasounds, and all of the people. It's a way of creating a master list, if you will, kind of like McCarthy era. Like, okay, were you or have you ever been a pro-life doctor? That's the kind of, that's what this looks like. And also they can always follow up with these, after these interrogatories, they can actually ask them to produce more records. So it's a form of lawfare. It's a way to harass these legitimate businesses who've been in business for years. They're registered with the state. They pay their license fees on time. There are no complaints against them. No, there's no plaintiff that's coming forward and saying this entity defrauded me. It's almost like Rob Bonta has taken a page out of what Attorney General in New York saying, let's find a way to take a misdemeanor and bootstrap it up into a significant fine or maybe even a felony charge, something. So how can we silence, how can we shut down these pro-life clinics for doing the business that they are licensed to do? That's what this looks like to me.
It's just awful. Is there any recourse that you're able to look into them being able to have to resist, or do they just by law they have to respond to these questions?
I believe they have to respond because they're licensed entities by the state. Because if you're doing business in the state of California, the state of California has a duty to the public to make sure that everybody is obeying the law. So that makes sense. But it's imperative that if any of these clinics or centers receive these subpoenas, these interrogatories, they need to have counsel on their side so that counsel can interject different objections, so that they can be protected, so that they don't inadvertently turn over more information than they are required to do under the law. That's why it's very, very important that counsel is representing them. And one of the attorneys that is Pacific Justice Institute. Kevin Snyder is going to be doing some of that for some of these clinics. And I'm very, very proud of Kevin and his team at Pacific Justice Institute. They're a phenomenal organization, and they're going to be stepping up and helping some of these pro-life clinics and centers.
It's just so evil, the veracity that they come after these clinics when these are the clinics that are trying to help women. One of the biggest things that you hear when you have this abortion argument is like, well, why do they judge women? Like, why don't they just do more to really help women? Or what about after the baby's born? They only care about when the baby's in the womb, and then nobody helps these women when they actually give birth. And it's all a lie. But then this is what they do to those people that are trying to support life and trying to give help in another way. But it's interesting to me how you mentioned that this is becoming part of their playbook, is to create these eerie lists and use lawfare. They've certainly shown us, wait, well, we can pull this off with Trump. We can do this to anybody, right?
Right. And perhaps I'm just a little bit, maybe I'm horribilizing a little bit, but I don't put anything past them. And you know what? You have to consider this. They're not that smart. Maybe they haven't even thought of that yet. But I, as a California attorney, I'm looking at it and saying, because at the bottom of each one of these forms that I've seen, in parentheticals at the very, very bottom, it says investigative subpoena, in parentheses, then it names a clinic. So that and there are multiple ones. It's down in the lower right hand part of your screen, and I've blacked that out to protect the clinic. But that means that they have one for every one of the clinics that they're sending it to. So they're building that to me says we're building a file. We're not just investigating one clinic because perhaps somebody complained about it. No. This is they're going through systematically targeting these clinics. I just wonder, and I don't know this, I'm just wondering, are they also going to be sending these subpoenas to Planned Parenthood, to other organizations that conduct ultrasound? That would seem a little more fair, because the law that they're citing in this, which is compliance with AB 1720, that's the new law that's gone into effect in January 1st. And you'll see that on page 2 of what I've sent you. That's for, I'm sorry, it should be, page 2. That's what they're saying is, look, in compliance with 1720, you need to answer these questions based on, starting January 1st, 2024 through the final response date. It would be fair if they were also demanding these interrogatories from Planned Parenthood and abortion centers who do ultrasounds or don't do them. But that would be more fair. I don't have information. I am assuming that they're not doing that. I am assuming a bias. I'm assuming a bias on Rob Bonta's office, and perhaps that's not fair. That's something that perhaps you can reach out and ask him. Is Rob Bonta, is he propounding these special subpoenas, these interrogatories on all providers of ultrasound? Or is he just doing it on pro-life clinics and centers? We know that he is doing it for pro-life centers and clinics. We know that. Is this just part of a regulatory cleanup and kind of a checkup on all providers who are doing ultrasound? That would be fair. That would be interesting. But if he's not, then my mind goes to, well, then he's doing this for a purpose, which is to target, to harass these pro-life clinics and centers because they do not provide abortions, whereas Planned Parenthood and other providers do. The interesting thing for your audience to note is that in California, these pro-life clinics and resource centers, they outnumber Planned Parenthood and the abortion mills. And that's the competition. It's very ironic that there are more clinics and centers that are they're offering women free support, free baby, car seats and wipes and all kinds of manner of support, emotional support, counseling. They'll hook them up to, maybe a church, and they'll walk through, and they give all of this for free to women who are abortion minded and come in. And it's all just based on charity and persuasion. It's not like anyone is going out on the sidewalk and kidnapping pregnant women and dragging them into pro-life clinics and saying, don't kill your baby. That's not happening. These are sidewalk advocates who are saying, look, if you'd like to talk, here's our card. You can come by, come contact us, check out our website. So it's free will. So a woman can go into any one of these pro-life clinics or centers. She can get a free ultrasound. She can get a free pregnancy test, and she can get immediate benefits hooked up to the state so that they can expedite state benefits if she's of low income and she needs additional assistance. That's what these clinics can do to help women so that they don't feel alone, so that they don't feel like, I have no choice. What can I do? I want to have this baby, but I can't afford it. That's all they're doing. That's all these pro-life clinics and centers are doing, is providing those additional resources, which the state does not provide to these women. Right? And which Planned Parenthood will not do. Planned Parenthood doesn't do prenatal screening or postnatal child. Planned Parenthood wants them to choose abortion. And I have it on anecdotal information that Planned Parenthood, when they do ultrasounds in a Planned Parenthood abortion mill, they never allow the woman to see the ultrasound. Again, this is anecdotal information only, but they never turn the screen around and say, you can see right here, here's the heart beating, here are the little footprints here. They never do that. Why? Because ultrasound saves babies. I think the statistic is about 80 to 85% of women who see their baby in an ultrasound choose life. They realize, oh, it's not a clump of cells. It's a baby, and I can't kill it. And so they don't go through with the abortion. So again, these are abortion, the abortion mills don't show ultrasounds. Pro-life clinics do. They are licensed in the state of California to provide these ultrasounds. And yet we have Rob Bonta and his minions in the state, Attorney General's office subpoenaing these pro-life clinics and centers saying, okay, are you providing ultrasounds? And if you are, who is conducting them, what
Yeah,
doctors, what
it's
nurses,
so
etc.
sick. Eh, it's all because they don't want to disrupt their money-making operation. I mean, it's all cyclical. Planned Parenthood gets government funding, and that they have people
And
that
these
are that.
clinics don't. These
Yeah,
clinics don't
yeah,
get any federal funding at all. These clinics are operated completely and solely by private donations from you, from me, from people who are pro-life. They can go and donate to these clinics, and they don't receive any federal dollars. But
yeah.
Planned Parenthood does, like what, 600 million a year? I forgot the latest number, but it's a lot of money that you and I are funding through our taxes. We are funding the operations of Planned Parenthood and other abortion mills, and yet the other side, the pro-life side, does not get that kind of
Yeah.
grant from feds. And now we have weaponized state attorney general offices targeting these
Of course,
pro-life clinics.
this is their new playbook, and I think you're absolutely right that they want to get more lists. When did we make lists before? But they're doing this in so many different ways. They're doing it here, and just today there's news out about Biden wanting to crack down on private gun sales, and that's all about getting those lists together. It's really quite interesting. They really want a list of who the defectors are, who those are that are going to cause a problem for the government control. It's also so scary. But I really need to ask you about, because they're trying to make abortion the issue of the 2024 election. It's just ridiculous. They all got their talking points. I wanted to ask you about Trump's stance. From Politico, it says that Trump says Arizona went too far in its abortion ruling. Carrie Lake has also walked back her stance on abortion a bit. And obviously this is quite upsetting for many people, but what do you make of this? Because they almost make a no-win situation, because it's like, if you go too strong, then you don't have any chance of well, that's the narrative anyways, that if you go too hard, then
Well,
you don't have any chance of getting in power and being able to ultimately save more lives, through more control in government. But then you're upsetting people because you're not defending life fiercely
I
enough. So
think
it's a tricky
I,
situation.
I think that the pro-abort heads are exploding over the brilliant move that Trump just did. Because he spoke yesterday about Arizona, and I think a couple of days before he said, "Look, what people wanted, they wanted Roe versus Wade overturned. Oh, it got overturned, and now the matter is to the states, and so we, the people, can decide." He never mentioned a national movement to do anything. All he said was, it's now with the states. We're going to have different levels at the state. Some states are going to do 6 weeks, some states are going to do 15 weeks, and that's the way it should be. So here we have a president, a former president who's running for president, who is vowing to uphold Supreme Court decisions and to empower the states to make that decision. Isn't that what you want in a president? You don't want a president that does by executive order and fiat saying, well, I think we need to have a law that bans abortion. We need to have a national law that bans abortion. I'll just sign it into law. I think our borders should be open. I think I'll just sign an executive order that does that. We don't want that. We want we the people, we get to decide. And so what Trump has done brilliantly is to say, I'm honoring the decision of we the people. I'm honoring the decision of the Supreme Court. The issue of abortion is with the states, as it should be, and as it always was under the Constitution. There was never a federal right to abortion in the Constitution. That was a myth that was created in the Roe versus Wade decision. Pardon me.
And
So what he's decided to do is just say, look, I am supporting the will of the people. The interesting thing that I found when he commented on the Arizona law, he said, yeah, I think they went a little too far. That's really interesting, because if you read the Arizona decision, you go back, all Arizona said was, in 2022, the Arizona legislature tried to pass a law that said abortion is legal basically up until 15 weeks, but not past 15 weeks. And that 2022 law was tied to the federal right to abortion in Roe versus Wade. When Roe versus Wade was overturned, the basis for the Arizona 2022 law was, done away with. And so the Supreme Court of Arizona looked at it and said, well, this law did not have an independent basis for expanding the right to abortion up to 15 weeks. It was based on Roe versus Wade. Roe versus Wade is gone. Therefore, this law is no longer effective. Boom, it's out. And it looked back in 1864, 100 years earlier, and said, well, we do have a law on the books that is valid. 1864 says that abortion is not legal except to save the life of the mother, which exists in every state nationwide. That has always been the exception, which is the life of the mother. Now, the pro-abort side has expanded life of the mother to be mental health and anything that you can drive a Mack truck through what is, life of the mother. But the fact of the matter is, in the United States, all 50 states, a woman can get an abortion if it is necessary to save her life. So what are the limits that these pro-aborts want? They're not happy with, a woman can get an abortion if the pregnancy is actually endangering her life. That makes sense because doctors, their Hippocratic oath is to save life. They want to save the baby and the mother. If they have to make a choice, it's a tough choice. And we fall on the side of let's saving life. Makes sense. But that's not what the pro-aborts want. They want womb to tomb. They want the ability to abort a baby even after it's born.
Well, I mean, did you hear
this? I say this
Whoopi
because
Goldberg the other day, she said 50 weeks, 75,000 weeks, whatever. It's just.
There've been videos of women who saying, it's 3 years old, no matter what. But literally in California in 2022, this is AB 2223. That's the name of the bill, which has now since become a law, AB 2223. And that was put forth by Buffy Wicks, Assemblywoman Buffy Wicks. And that law, 2223, basically strips away the ability of a coroner in California to determine the cause of death of a baby up to 4 weeks old, so that the baby can be born and alive, separate from the mother. And if the woman is choosing abortion and the baby dies, she has the right to bring a lawsuit against anyone who threatens to investigate the cause of the baby's death up to 28 days past birth. If you don't believe
so
me, look
disgusting. And it's
so
like people
really,
can't even
abortion is legal in California. I mean, no court has ruled on this as far as I know, but abortion, post-birth abortion is legal up to 28 days in California. That's what pro-aborts want. They want the ability to kill an unborn child or even a born child, 28 days or younger. They want the ability to terminate that child for any reason, regardless of, the health of the mother. That's not what they want. They want the power of life and death over these children. And that's what they demand. That's why they're not happy with the Arizona law, 1864, that says, of course we have an exception for the life of the mother. That's not good enough. They want it for
I gotta play this clip for you, Susan, because it's okay because Katie Hobbs says they're just going to ignore it anyways. So watch this.
I want to make it clear that my executive order protecting women and doctors from prosecution by extremist county attorneys still stands. We are taking immediate action to uphold your reproductive freedoms. I joined with legislative champions and abortion rights advocates to call for a repeal of this ban and guarantee access to contraception. And in the upcoming months, I will...
You get the point. So there you go. There's Dictator Hobbs saying, I will make sure the babies get killed. I don't matter what the law is. I mean, this is
see how she jumps over to contraception. She's jumping. She's changing the topic. Well, now it's about contraception. Whoever said you can't contracept? Well, I mean, this is ludicrous.
Susan, I don't want people to miss the point here, though. The thing is they constantly call Trump a dictator, and that if he gets in office, he's going to be a dictator. And then they constantly do stuff like this. They constantly take a dictator position, say they're just going to ignore or oppose the law of the land. I mean, Biden, there's a gazillion examples of him just ignoring the Supreme Court with student loans. With everything else. So it's like, wait a minute, who's the dictator? Projection, always. It's always projection.
Katie, exactly. And Katie Hobbs is doing exactly what pro-aborts are projecting onto Trump. She's saying, well, I'm just going to, by virtue of my executive order, by the power of my pen, I'm going to change this, the law of the state of Arizona. I'm going to disregard the Arizona Supreme Court. This is a challenge from the executive branch to against the judiciary in Arizona. She can't do this. Just like Biden can't do a lot of the things he's doing, but that's how dictators.
Wait, Susan. He can't close the border because he actually needs approval for that. He can't take a dictator position when it comes to it's all so nonsense. We have to keep on hitting people with the truth. Susan, I could talk to you all day, but I got to get to my next guest. But thank you so much for your passion and your resiliency and fighting for life and for your education on this topic. Follow up with me, please, to follow up with the Attorney General there and see if Planned Parenthood will be included in this.
I hope I'm wrong. Look, I hope I'm wrong.
I'm going to look into
I
it.
really
But
hope
thank
that
you.
he's doing something, across the board and just trying to clean up files and being, just enforcing the law. I hope I'm wrong, but I suspect that they're building a list, kind of like the MacArthur-Erie list, to find out. Because can you imagine if you're a pro-life doctor and once they've got your name, are they going to start sending these kind of subpoenas to pro-life doctors? And how many ultrasounds have you doing? How many other places are you supervising their ultrasounds? And you could start harassing the doctors themselves to shut them down or to get them to leave California. Yeah. So I hope I'm wrong, but we'll find all of these clinics, if a clinic has one of these, if they've been served with one of these, they immediately need to get counsel so that they can respond appropriately with the protection of, lawyers at their side.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, thank you so much, Susan. I'm sure we'll be checking back with you again soon.
Thank you, Kristi.
It's all about that money. It's all about the Benjamins, right? They can't have their abortion industry operation that messed up by, those pro-life clinics that are doing things for free. I mean, no. Well, we got to hit them where it hurts. The Benjamins, a boycott that's working. But first, support freedom-loving companies and prepare yourself for the worst at the same time. Watch this. Let them eat bugs, they say, or lab-grown meat, or worse. No, we want our real beef. And we need to get free from the rising costs because the prices are skyrocketing. So you need to go to KLBeef.com and stock up on all American beef from ranches in Texas, from Prepper All Naturals. We don't want the mystery meat. This meat is no mRNA jabs ever. It's freeze-dried, stored in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers for maximum shelf life. We're talking 10 plus years without refrigeration. We're not talking jerky. We're talking about something you can just soak in water for 15 minutes, ready to eat. And these are premium cuts. New York strip, tenderloin, sirloin, chuck. Just use promo code KLB15 for 15% off your order. Now to other news of the day. Family of O.J. Simpson says he has died at the age of 76. He's the decorated football star, but quite possibly better known for his high-profile trial where he was accused and then acquitted of killing his wife. He was later found liable in a civil trial. According to the AP, his family says he died Wednesday after battling prostate cancer. Watch this completely unrelated clip.
Hey, get your shots. I don't like wearing masks. And it's you people who aren't getting the shots that has brought this mask thing back. I'm just saying. Take care.
And I'm just saying, cancer, and he advocated for the jab. Now, I do think it's important to note this, but I do also think we need to remember he has children, many are grieving, so note that, but with grace. And in other news, while freedom of the press is under attack, Americans are still being spied on. From post-millennial, the House of Representatives voted on Wednesday to block the reauthorization of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, you know it as FISA, which was set to expire on April 19th. The decision came after intense debate and pressure from both sides of the political spectrum. Former President Donald Trump publicly voiced opposition to the bill, urging lawmakers to kill it. I mean, we all remember how FISA was weaponized against our former president. 19 Republicans joined 209 Democrats to strike down the legislation that would have renewed Section 702 of FISA. But many are cautioning, including Rep. Thomas Massie, that there will be renewed efforts to reauthorize FISA, but without that warrant requirement that we are demanding. So we do need to keep an eye on this. Now, will Joe Biden sign off on dropping charges against Julian Assange? He was asked about it. Watch this.
Australia's request that you end Julian Assange's prosecution.
I didn't hear you.
Do you have a response to Australia's request that you end Julian Assange's prosecution?
We're considering.
You're considering. Do you have a response?
We're considering it, he says as he shuffles along after what, his morning oatmeal? This comes after the extradition hearing where the High Court has ruled the U.S. must give assurances that Assange will not face the death penalty before judges will consider dismissing the WikiLeaks founder's bid to bring an extradition appeal. And white MAGA Christian is charged with bombing an Alabama AG office. Oh, whoops. Nope. It was another trans Antifa member who was arrested for doing just that. From InfoWars, a 26-year-old transgender Antifa activist from Alabama named Kyle Benjamin Douglas Calvert was arrested this week and charged with illegally possessing and detonating an explosive device outside the state attorney general's office in Montgomery. But it's the MAGA Christians we have to worry about, remember? However, there is some progress being made to take over the trans narrative and combat it with truth. From the UK's LBC, NHS to review all transgender treatment after a landmark report calls for a more cautious approach to transitioning. Dr. Hilary Cass, who wrote the report, said healthcare for people questioning their gender needs to be improved across the board, but said that there is a distinction between having a trans identity and medically transitioning. She warned that more care should be taken before anyone under the age of 25 is allowed to transition. Now, this should just be, common sense, but we need a medical professional to go ahead and speak truth to the common sense angle of this, and we hope to see more progress on that ideology front. In economic news, the boycott is working. Planet Fitness has been pretty much destroyed, says company founder, amid speculation on boycott cancellations, according to Yahoo Finance. Now, this is after the company canceled the membership of a Planet Fitness gym goer after speaking out about a biological male in the women's locker room. So instead of kicking out the dude in the women's safe space, it was that gym membership canceled. And, there's been a backlash, and this is another victory that we can celebrate that is working. People are canceling their Planet Fitness memberships, and even Yahoo Finance has to acknowledge that it's pretty much been destroyed, according to a company founder. And, check this out. Speaking of economics, from MRC News, Biden economics after 38 months, 6 charts the media we're talking about, the propaganda machine that they don't want you to see. Let's just take a look at some of these. There's gas up 46% in the first 38 months of President Joe Biden's term. After accounting for inflation, real wages earned by Americans have declined under Biden. Pretty much no one can afford a home under these mortgage rates. They're about 7% on average here in Texas. Absolutely insane. They want us all perpetually renting. You will own nothing and like it. Now, make sure you've taken at least some of your savings or your IRA and protect it in a time-tested, tangible asset. Watch this. Get free with Kristi Leigh, and that includes getting free from tying up all your money in the banks we can no longer trust.
Greed works.
The market, which can face manipulation, and getting ahead of any central bank digital currency schemes that might be headed our way. In times of uncertainty, the wisdom of diversifying with gold and silver shines brighter than ever. Genesis Gold Group offers a path to invest in these precious metals, echoing the biblical principles of wisdom and preparation. So go to getklgold.com to get your free gold and silver guide and get started. That's getklgold.com. And now on to the dedicated space for good news. But I need your help. You need to join my editorial board. Send me positivity, inspiration, something to make us laugh. Your favorite verse, whatever. But we need to break up the bad and balance it with good, because there's still plenty of good. For today, let's just look at my baby. After trying so hard to get her first word to be mama, I've been saying mama, mama, mama. I was betrayed. She said dada a couple times just yesterday, and I tried to get it on cam, and of course it took a while, but here you go. Watch this.
Dada. 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 Go on. Hey. Dada. Yeah, dada.
What do you think? Good enough to pass for dada, her first word? Again, all the things that I do, and this is the thanks I get. But hopefully that made you smile even just a little bit, and I need more of that. So pitch me your videos that can make us all smile. You can send those to KLGetGoodNews@gmail.com. That's KLGetGoodNews@gmail.com. And yes, I was wearing Cookie Monster pajamas. Anyway, send those anonymously, or we can give you a shout out. But yes, give us the good, because we sure need it.
Looks like you've been sleeping well,
Megan, he's back. The My Pillow guy.
and you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took My Pillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented My Pillow to bring you the best pillow in history, My Pillow 2.0. Just like all of you, I never imagined that My Pillow could get any better. That's why I haven't changed it in nearly 20 years. Then I heard about a revolutionary new technology, and I knew I had to bring it to you all. My Pillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of My Pillow.
The My Pillow 2.0 is cooler and softer than the last My Pillow. It is so comfortable to sleep on at night. I look forward to going to bed, and I wake up well rested in the morning.
Sleep is all about temperature and height. My Pillow 2.0's patented adjustable fill is going to give you the exact individual support you need from your head to your bed. And now here's where it gets even better. We've all experienced those temperature-related sleep interruptions where you get too hot, you toss and turn, you flip your pillow over to the cool side. Well, all that's gone with my brand new My Pillow 2.0 cooling fabric that's made with temperature-regulating thread.
The best sleep just got even better. Whether you have a MyPillow or not, you need to get the brand new MyPillow 2.0. Call or go to MyPillow.com now. Use your promo code, and for a limited time when you buy one, you'll get a second one absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
Visit MyPillow.com.
All right, we need to stop funding the communist takeover of our country. And according to our next guest, we have the legal means to do it, to stop paying income tax. Payman Motahade is the president and founder of Freedom Law School with over 30 years of experience helping Americans break free from IRS slavery and deception. Payman has not paid any federal income taxes in over 30 years and says that, you know what, you don't have to either. So I want to welcome in Payman. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Kristi.
Now, I'm going to dive in, but I got to say, I just watched a documentary that you were featured in, and remind folks the name of it because it is so good. It is so well done. And we're not going to have enough time to cover everything. So I want to make sure people write this down and watch it. What's the name of the documentary again?
Slave Nation.
Slave Nation. What's the best place for folks to watch that?
At freedomlawschool.org, our website. It's also on Twitter and at Rumble at both places. And we actually do a little updated version of it coming up as well.
Amazing. So, people find this to be like, oh, that's too good to be true. There's no way that you can avoid paying taxes. The thumb is on us. We're stuck with it. So, is it challenging to get people to understand, like, no, there's legal precedent for this?
It's not a challenge once people allow themselves to open their mind, their eyes and ears, and look at and read the law from US government's official legal websites. They can watch it on our website, freedomlawschool.org. We have a 7-step plan to free yourself and America of IRS deception, fear, robbery, and slavery. And it starts with step 1, follow the law. We are sticklers for the law. It's all there. And in fact, we have had thousands of people write petitions to the congressman who quote and attach the law from US government's official legal websites. And we tell the congressman, here's a law, we've been lied to. The only people required to file and pay federal income taxes are citizens and residents of Washington, D.C., federal workers, and contractors. Social Security and FICA taxes also do not apply to people of the 50 states. We've been hoodwinked, we've been deceived. We want our Congress members to act and hold congressional hearings and stop this deception and robbery of the American people. And we should make the American people poor. We don't have money. Most Americans are in debt to credit card companies because as slaves, they have nothing left over. They got to become 20% plus interest rate slaves to the credit card companies. So what we're trying to do is to have people go to our website, freedomlawschool.org, see it for themselves, and they're going to be awake, not woke, but awakened to the truth, and we can defund the swamp and instead fund ourselves, our families, and the freedom movement to take America back.
And this is the best time to awaken people because they're like, yeah, I've been lied to about pretty much everything else. So yes, of course I've been lied to about when it comes to taxes. In my last segment, I was talking about how we are forced, our hands are forced to fund things that we don't believe in, like abortion, like the killing of innocent life. We didn't give the okay to give our money as donations to Planned Parenthood. Yet that's what happened. We didn't give an okay to pay our neighbor's gender studies degree. But that happens. We didn't tell them that it was okay to take our money and launder it through Ukraine and whatever else nonsense. But this is what happens. And we are complicit because we're paying our income tax. Turns out we don't have to. Now, you are the best example of this because you haven't paid in 30 years and you're not behind bars. But that doesn't mean payment. Yeah, you're a free man. But that doesn't mean you haven't faced persecution. I mean, if you Google your name, of course, you're going to come up and find out that there was these lawsuits and all this stuff. So what have been the attempts to take you down and how have you personally been able to beat them?
Well, I've been under criminal investigation and other investigations by the IRS for over 30 years. IRS never dares to charge me criminally and take me before a jury of 12 American citizens because they know they'll lose. They know I'm not breaking no law. There is no law requiring the people of the 50 United States to file and pay any federal income taxes. Since 1913, it's all hoodwinking us with deception, with the corrupt major media, with the deep state, the Department of Injustice lawyers, crooked judges, and IRS employees. And the thing is, I've beaten them so many times. They imposed over $600,000 of taxes on me for over 13 years back in 2009. And I forced IRS's own appeal office and U.S. tax court to zero out and completely remove all of those tax liens. They had me look at me as an abusive tax shelter promoter back in 2003. After 13 years, that investigation closed with nothing. We had a freedom event back in 2005, and IRS's own criminal investigator wanted the records of that event and our attendees. We sued them and forced the IRS lawyer to force the criminal investigator to abandon the summons, and that the criminal investigation was gone. So, and I've had people, my students, Kristi, for over 20 years, I've been helping them since 2001 to legally stop paying federal income taxes. And not one person who come to me and stayed with me has ever gone to tax prison, no tax prison, nor had their paycheck, bank account, or assets levied or seized by the IRS. What they're counting on is you, the American people, living in a state of ignorance and fear. That's how they create the fear with lies and propaganda that, oh, Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. We got to go take over that country. Yeah. Oh, if you don't double mask and vaccinate with the corona jab, oh, we'll die all in a pandemic. And if you don't file income taxes, whoa, the IRS will come after you and put you in prison with 87,000 new agents. It's all lies and propaganda. What they don't want you to know, Kristi, is there's about 80 million non-filers per IRS's own numbers. Now think about that, Kristi. 80 million Americans do not file income taxes. Do you see 80 million people in prison or have their bank account and property seized by the IRS? Of course not. What we are doing is we're educating people. If you love the truth, and seek the truth, you will find it for free at freedomlawschool.org. You can be completely tax-free without fear, with confidence and knowing in your heart and your mind, you are doing the right, loving, good thing for yourself and your family and America. They have not been able to stop me, and they will not be able to stop you either. And IRS is leaving non-filers alone.
Now, I want to help you out, Payman, and because I know that despite as many times as we tell people on this side of the aisle, quit using the propaganda machine, Google, like people still Google. And so when they Google freedom law, like I said, you're going to come up with a bunch of junk. But I did see it when I Googled, just to see what people would see. I did see a justice.gov article come up. That headline is like tax defier and member of Freedom Law School sentenced to prison for tax evasion. So I want to give you the opportunity to address that because I know that that's going to be instantly scary for someone to see.
Sure. First of all, I've done this for over 30 years teaching Americans not to file income tax. If what I'm doing is wrong and misleading people, why don't I have dozens and dozens of my students in prison? That's number one. That shows you that I'm doing it right. Number two, Mr. Grant came to Freedom Law School with other pre-existing things, and I took him in, and I was trying to help him out, and the IRS came after him, and he did not work with me or his lawyer, neither worked with me. So just because he drank his mother's milk, went to ABC High School, or was with Freedom Law School for a while, doesn't mean that we're the cause of him going to prison. But you see, that's how desperate they are to stop me, because they know they cannot stop us. All they can do is they get me to smear me.
I was just gonna say, Payman, for all you know, that was a setup. I mean, they do these kinds of things where they're like, if we can just get someone in there so that we can then create something and drag this down. I mean, they've been trying even at this for 30 years, and they haven't been able to get you. So anything's possible, right?
Just smear is all they can do because they cannot put me in prison. They know that. I mean, I've been broadcasting this stuff for over 30 years. Every week, I'm on Rumble, I'm on Odyssey, YouTube, different platforms. By the way, YouTube closed my channel about a year and a half ago because I was waking up too many slaves. And to be free, the only tax truth organization in America, YouTube closed their account, was Freedom Law School. because they're afraid. They know that no lawmaker that we've written about this stuff thousands of times have once ever showed us that we're wrong. None of us once showed us, oh, you're wrong, Paymon. Here's a law that requires people of the 50 states to file income tax. So we're following right now, Kristi, in the footsteps of America's founding fathers. George Washington and company did the same thing. They wrote to King of England and said, you are violating these rights of ours. Stop that. Start serving and be our protector, not our abuser. When the King of England continued on and put heap more abuse on the English colonists, that's what led to the revolution. And they stopped paying taxes to the King of England that they legally owed. Today, Kristi, what we're doing is we're stopping paying income taxes that we never legally owed. People tell me, oh, Paymon, so you don't pay your taxes? I'll tell them, no, I pay all the taxes I'm required to pay. Sales tax, gas tax, property tax, but income taxes, you and I never legally owed in the first place. And people go, they flip like, what? Oh, can be, does not compute. Well, go to KLGetGoodNews.org. It's all there.
Yes, you really need to check it out. And you do absolutely need to watch this documentary, Slave Nation, because it really helps break down the history, how they have bamboozled us with this. And if more and more people get on board and are awakened to this truth, then we truly can hit them in the knees, if you will, and quit them from all of their agenda and taking our freedoms away. Paymon, thank you so much for what you're doing in empowering people by teaching them, because that's the thing. They need to make sure they do it right. You can't just be like, stop, like you have all this experience on making sure they do it right so that they can make their case legally. So I appreciate what you're doing.
Thanks for having me, Kristi.
You bet. Again, check out his website, freedomlawschool.org, and learn all about it. Get a consultation. It's too important not to at least look into. All right, you can stop paying taxes and then rest easy about it on a MyPillow. The $25 extravaganza is still going on. So you want to go to mypillow.com/KL. And like I said, $25 extravaganza going on. Lots of things are $25. And then you can get free shipping on top of it. If you pick 3 of those items out, free shipping, use promo code KL. You can also call 800-663-3706. Promo code KL, and take advantage of the deals and support a good cause. All right, the scripture of the day is from John 16:33, and here it is. These things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation. It doesn't say if you have tribulation. It says you will have tribulation. But be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. So that's a great way to end this today, a reminder of how we have peace and knowing that he's the blessed controller of all things. Well, thank you again for watching, and don't forget to spread the word, share this show with friends, get free with Kristi Leigh now on frankspeech.com.